Premier Sports TV here, and post-fight review of the Triple G versus Daniel Jacobs fight. It was the toughest fight of Triple G's career, but he pulled it off. We can say, trolls are gonna say that Danny Jacobs was, robbed, but you know, I had I had it what the judge had it, you know. 114, 113 for Triple G. It could have went either way. I wouldn't have been mad, but you know, Gennady Golovkin outlasted Danny Jacobs in an exhausting 12-round defense of his titles. You know, so it was a great fight. You know, you know, like I said, Danny Jacobs, you know, rocked him. He changed the southpaw, which was good and which was smart to show Triple G a different look. And Golovkin was often stymied by that left hand, But, it didn't really seem like he was affected too much. You see what I'm saying? So it was good. The Madison Square Garden, the crowd was 50-50 throughout the fight, reverberating from chants of Triple G or GGG or Jacobs, like GGG or Triple G or Jacobs from start to finish. It was a great atmosphere for both fighters. And, it was a great fight, point blank period. Daniel Jacobs got knocked down in the fourth round, flash knockdown. It was a great fight, point blank period. It was a fight that was good for boxing, but we're going to break it down round by round since we here. Shit. All right. So it's round one. KG start. Triple G stalking flurry from Jacobs midway through the round, then left hook and jab to the body. Good jab by Jacob. GGG misses with long right. They chant Triple G. So pretty much, Triple G is stalking them but getting tagged while doing it. Round two, Jacobs looked like he's in the fight, winning the fight. He might mess around and win this. And, Jacobs was moving smartly and getting fast punches off. He wasn't trying to brawl, but boxing smartly. Round three, body shot from Golovkin. Winging punches through Jacobs fast wide, mostly missing, but Golovkin started to get in his range. They tie up, and Triple G started working on the inside, which is different. And it was, it was good. He did what he needed to do. Cut off the ring, work on the inside a little bit, But then Jacobs, hit him with jabs, then a good left hook. Then, starts to be a little bit more dangerous. Great, good fight so far. Round four. Jacobs looking confident, but then boom, in the last round, Golovkin gets in and drops Danny Jacobs with the right hand, and then, Jacobs falls. This is the turning tide of, the fight, and knocks him down. Great fight. So 10-8 round for Triple G. Round five. Jacobs still firing back, but really losing his shape. GG looking to load up. Big left lands for Jacobs when he switches southpaw. But he's getting wild and desperate. He looked very controlled at the start. Golovkin perhaps because of his reputation of iron fist, looked so dangerous. Another big right landed for Golovkin. Golovkin round. Round 6. Jacobs rediscovered his self-belief in those 3 minutes, switching back to orthodox and throwing combinations to the head and a flurry to the body. Triple G clearly has earned the respect of, Danny Jacobs. Now round 7 is really interesting because, it was a back and forth round. And, Jacob switched back southpaw, coming right back at Golovkin. He arguably landed a low blow and a shot to the back of the head, but he bossed that period. Or at least did he allow Triple G to dominate? They trade. He didn't allow Triple G to dominate. They trade shots just right before the bell. Fighting getting very good. Golovkin not stretched, but being outpunched at times. So that round could have went either way. Great round. So we're gonna let's go ahead and skip to round 12 because this is interesting. So I had it tied in to round 12, but but both guys are super tired in a clearly emotionally draining and physically draining fight. Golovkin lands accurately in the first half of the round, but Jacobs fought back at the end. That was such a close round. Golovkin just shades it for me. This fight is close. I haven't been counting the score as we go, but I like to see what these guys do it all over again because I was so much into the fight. But at the same time, I gave it to Triple G because he's the champ. And, since it was that close, you got to give it to the champ. So Triple G still retained his titles, but I would like to see a rematch. But if not, I would like to see Canelo. And I don't see no point for Triple G to fight anybody else but Danny Jacobs or Canelo, point blank, period. It would be a waste of time. So shout out to both guys for, taking the fight. It was a great fight, and straight up shout out to the Madison Square Garden for this beautiful atmosphere. Premier Sports TV here. Please subscribe.